one of the things that I'm unapologetic about doing is I bring attention to the plight of African-American coaches, particularly on the collegiate level, not so much on the professional level. I don't wish for anybody to fail, but considering the paucity of coaches throughout history that has graced the NFL, the Tony Dungys of the world I rooted for, the Lovie Smiths of the world I rooted for, you know how I feel about my man Mike Tomlin, okay? Marvin Lewis should be fired today. I'm going to say that again. Marvin Lewis should be fired today. This afternoon, the work day for Monday, January 6th, should not end with Marvin Lewis being the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm not saying that the man does not know football. I know he does. I'm not saying that I forgot what a stout defensive coordinator he was, because we all know a legitimate argument could be made that he is more responsible or just as responsible for the Baltimore Ravens Super Bowl championship in 2001 as Brian Billick was. We understand all of that. But I don't care. Let him go back to being a defensive coordinator. I don't know the man. I respect him as a man. I respect some of the things that he had to go through in order to become a head coach in this game. But you can't have 11 years on a job with not one single playoff victory and keep your job. It is time for somebody else to receive an opportunity. White, black, Hispanic, Native American, Asian American, I don't care who it is. Somebody other than Marvin Lewis. 11 years, and you can't win a playoff game. With this talent, I mean, they are arguably the deepest team in the NFL. 2 deep at tight end. 4 deep at wide receiver, 2 deep with your running back. Andy Dalton is no scrub during the regular season at the very least. Your defense is stout. Personnel decisions in terms of the talent that has been placed on your roster, you have at your disposal. You are undefeated at home in the regular season, and then the playoffs arrive and you stick up the joint and wet the bed. It is inexcusable. It is inexcusable. If this were anybody else, they would be out of a job. Marvin Lewis should be out of a job. I don't care about the loyalty or whatever the case may be. The citizens of Cincinnati have spoken, because it took them until the 11th hour to sell out the game, which means they did not want to go. There was some trepidation, some apprehension. We heard our own Tom Jackson, all right, who, has roots in Cincinnati.
Lives there.
All right, lives there, who said yesterday, quote, you have people that's looking at Andy Dalton, they had the feeling that, you know what? We kind of know what is going to happen here. And the players themselves, we constantly hear about coaches. And this is why I love my man Lou Holtz, because he once said something incredibly profound, Skip, that has stayed with me forever. He said, you got to make decisions. He said, because you got to think about what's fair to your players. If a coach isn't getting the job done as a head coach, you got to get rid of that coach, because the players deserve the best that you have available. Well, if your management or ownership for the Cincinnati Bengals, the citizens of Cincinnati have spoken, and the players themselves in their body language tells you they don't believe in Andy Dalton. Now, I'm not saying he's a scrub. I'm just saying they know that when the big moment arrives, this dude is going to shrink. Marvin Lewis's job is to make sure you can either fix that problem or offset it by getting max production from everything around him. Not only has he failed to do so, he has failed to do it for 11 years. It is time for him to go. He should not have the head coaching job for the Cincinnati Bengals by 5 o'clock today. It should be over. It is that simple. This may be the most uncomfortable show that I've ever done for First Take, because what I'm about to say is something that I've never said about anybody, but I'm going to say it right now. Marvin Lewis does not deserve a second chance to be a head coach in this league.
Really?
He does not. And it hurts me to say that, but I'm going to tell you why. 11 years. Lovie Smith deserved a second chance. And remember, when the Chicago Bears let him go, I supported that, because my whole point was you had 9 years. The mandate was to make the playoffs. You had missed the playoffs the last few years. It's time for a new voice.
They made it one in 6 years.
Yeah, 1 in 6 years. But you had made the playoffs 3 times. You had won the NFC Championship game. So, in other words, that's not an indictment against you as a head coach, Lovey. It's just that at this particular spot, you need to move on and go somewhere else and do something, okay? If Mike Tomlin, God forbid, who I love, was to lose his job for the Pittsburgh Steelers next year, whatever the case may be, you go somewhere else because the man went to 2 Super Bowls and won a Super Bowl championship. And it's proven that he can win. You just have ups and downs as the roller coasters. It's the NFL. The Cincinnati Bengals have been consistently mediocre or worse in 11 years.
I mean, you can't call the regular season's mediocre.
What I'm saying to you is that give me a 10-6 or 11-5 season, Skip. The vast majority of the 11 years have been mediocre. The fact of the matter is that you haven't done anything for 11 years. And I'm going to say something, and this is why I said it was going to be uncomfortable, but it needs to be said. When you are in this position, this chair that I'm sitting in, and you are in a position to call people out and to hold people accountable, and obviously being a black man, you've got black folks that are really, really aching for you to call folks out. You understand? To hold them accountable. How the hell can I do that if I say nothing about Marvin Lewis? I can't do that. 11 years? If this man keeps his job as the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, Skip, guess what? I can't say anything about Jason Garrett. I can't say anything about Gary Kubiak. I can't say anything about a plethora of coaches out there if I am quiet and silent for a dude that can't win a playoff game in 11 years. 11 years.